The first time I saw bipolar was on my medical form. I started being slow at work. I started becoming sleepless. I started feeling pain without pointing to certain pain in my body. I was on insurance. I would go to every hospital, IMC, IHK, check everything, and they find it's okay when I was actually feeling pain.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to you. And I'll request you to introduce yourself.
My name is Janepher Ampurire, Tibbs. I'm a tourism consultant, professional. I'm also a mental health advocate. I've also been living with bipolar. That's my journey, and it's part of me, and I live it with grace.
Grace.
Yes.
Before you got the grace to live with it, what was the situation like?
The situation, sometimes it would get out of hand. You lose jobs. You get issues with relationships. And you take it personal, you blame yourself. The very first time it was hard to live with until I found purpose in it. I decided to look at the positive.
How did you discover you had bipolar?
It took me time to realize I had bipolar because I first got treated. They were treating family. They would talk to the family and then treat me. The very first time I read it on a medical form, they got me a doctor from Molago. I think they had talked to the doctor and I didn't know what it was. So I got depression from work. I was working at the airport with a domestic airline. So I resigned. I got like a minor depression. I resigned. I went for holiday in Cape Town. And when I came back with major depression. I thought it was depression, like they had talked about it. I didn't know about the bipolar. I had never read it. I had never heard about it. To cut it short, I went to family, took me to Molago Hospital. I saw a doctor who gave me, I think if it was much, it was 5 minutes time, and described drugs. I don't remember if I took the drugs as were prescribed, but later on, I had some episodes. She described something that shoot from low to high, and I think that's the first time the medication brought the manic episode of bipolar. So the very first time I saw bipolar was just on a medical form in a private clinic that she was running in Ntinda. I started asking myself, what are they treating? What is bipolar? They would take me, inject me, then take me back, then it's worse, then I'll not get out of bed. That is the very first time. No one told me, no one briefed me, no one tells me like how you go to the hospital and they tell you that you have malaria. So it was a self-discovery. I started searching online. I started searching about bipolar. What brings it? How do you... Yeah, it hit hard.
To take you back, what are those things? What are the challenges that lead you to this depression at work?
I was doing reservations, I was doing operations, I was doing marketing, I was coordinating check-in, I would dispatch the flight down. So there were like 7 jobs in one. It was like overworked. So back at home, I would pretend I'm okay. I have to run the family, and I had people to look after. Then at the airport, I was running like a horse. So that minor depression started as small things, forgetting few facts, open an email and I don't complete it, then being slow. Personally, I'm someone who is very productive at work. I love my job. I've been doing tourism. I started tourism and air ticketing. All my life I've been in tourism. So it reached a time when I lost. There was a lot of pressure. There was a lot of switching me from marketing that I had applied for to operations that I didn't even study, I didn't train for. So it's pressure to work that brought that minor depression that started off the whole journey. I started forgetting. I started being slow at work. I started becoming sleepless. I started feeling pain without pointing to certain pain in my body. I was on insurance, so I would go to every hospital, IMC, IHK, check everything, and they find it's okay when I was actually feeling pain. So I decided to resign my job. When they told me, the final doctor that I used to see told me, you know what, Jenny, I think I need you to see psychologist or psychiatrist. And it hit me so hard. I was like, psychiatrist? That is something to do with mental or? So I paid, I think I went to see a psychiatrist. We talked, we had like a whole hour talking, listening, just someone listening to me. And that's when she told me, I think, Jenny, you're having a minor depression. And that's how it started. That's how the news, that's the first time I had the news of mental depression. That was how it started. He asked me, do you have a plan according to what you have shared? Pressure from work, bosses, this and that. It's what is bringing all this. So what are you planning? So I told him I've already resolved on resigning my job, and he asked me what my plans were, how was I supposed to survive. I shared with him what I was going to do, and he wished me well. And I told him I was going for a holiday in Cape Town, and to shed it off, it was minor. He told me by that time it didn't require medicine. I could shed it off by health living and taking a holiday off work, talking to the people I love, visiting them, because that time I could not, even my family was in Kampala, I was in Entebbe, so it was having some impact on me. It was draining me. I was missing my family. I was missing friends in tourism. I was kind of isolated, doing a lot of work, trying to perform, being effective, efficient at work. Yeah, so I told him I was going to take a holiday, meet the people I love, and yeah, relax, rejuvenate, and should be able to go away.
Did you have the holiday in Cape Town?
Holiday in Cape Town turned into some nightmare. I went, I think the first 2 weeks were okay. I went to the Table Mountain, I went to all those nice places. But I had a plan of studying as well. I got my savings and went with everything. And it wasn't nice. I lost those savings to some quacks. I was trying to get study permit there that would help me work and study, and it turned out to be a nightmare. Some quacks combined with some sangomas. They really ended my holiday unceremoniously, and it ended into what became major depression there. And since I was on visitor's visa, hospital was very hard to access because I didn't have insurance and all that. So yeah, I had to die silently. It's not like Uganda where you go and they administer medicine over the counter. You have to have an authorized medical form and everything from the hospital. So it was hard. I had to, and then the winter, it was winter hit me, then depression increased, then the holiday became so tough.
What is the worst that you ever went through while there?
Oh, the worst. The worst was being robbed and stabbed on the streets around very late at night. We had ordered a cab and we were coming from late dinner. We were seeing a fellow friend coming back to Uganda, and then we waited and waited. This friend was supposed to pick us, so we waited somewhere. And this friend was busy saying bye to other people. So the worst that ever happened that night was the little that I had, the money, I had to move with it, the documents. I saw people murdering someone that I had, a friend that I had. They wanted, I think it was Samsung Galaxy. I told this gentleman, please give up the phone. This is Cape Town, it's not Uganda. They're going to kill you. If they can kill someone for just a simple katochi, you're going to lose your life. I said, no way. We called an Uber, and then an Uber stopped somewhere, and we had to go behind the building of where we were. And then I realized we were surrounded. There are these people, they call them schemers or something. They stay on the street, live on the street. So we were surrounded by about 12 people. And I told this gentleman, these people need that phone. I told you to put that phone inside the pocket, and he couldn't. Before I knew it, he was down. The guy refused to let the phone go. They butchered him. They hit him with the bullet, the bayonets and knives, and he was bleeding all over. And of course, 2 of them took everything of mine. Of course, for me, it wasn't as bad as him. I was full of blood because I was next to him. We were all down. For me, I surrendered. They took the phone, money, everything. I was just left on the street with nothing. This person was dying there, refusing to let his phone go. It was traumatizing. It was horrible to watch, and I knew the guy had died because 12 people on someone, and they hit him. They used their bayonets and their knives, and he was all blood. He had no face. It was all full of blood. I think that was the worst experience that I faced. I went running back to where we were. I requested the managers, please come and help. No one was bothering. It's not like Uganda where someone steals something and everyone comes to help you. No, everyone is like, it's like normal. Like killing people on the street is normal, killing people in the shop. And at that point, I actually appreciated Uganda's security and love and togetherness and all that. Before I knew it, I was still bargaining with the managers of the place where we were seated. Please, I need to get back home. They have stolen everything. They have killed my friend. Come and see. And I knew these people because they were managing the parking of where the friend was. But then when they told us we can go together, so they are the ones who led us to a trap. And the worst part is no one cares there. No one was even minding to help. So it was just one gentleman, a white, who was a manager. He's like, I remember you, what happened, da-da. Before, I was still talking to the manager of that restaurant where we were. And then this guy who I thought was dead emerged. That was the most scaring thing. That was the most terrifying thing. He came with his white shirt, bowl of blood, his mouth cut, his everywhere cut. I went running. This time I didn't see him as a friend. I saw him like a ghost had come back from. The manager took me back to where I was staying, but he told me, don't cross there. He didn't reach where I was going. He just left me like in how they can leave you in Tinder, and someone tells you, don't cross to Capital Shoppers, don't cross here, so stay here. I'm not going to take you up to where you're staying, but stay here. So I stayed on the street, and there are people who are very dangerous on the street. And this guy forced himself into the car. So I was with a stranger, a ghost in the I was with a stranger. I can laugh about it, but it had a toll on me for a long time. So I had this ghost with me in the car who was trying to tell me he's a friend for me. I knew he was dead. So I was running on the street, running from him thinking he's a ghost, and running from the other people. They told me they can butcher me.
How did you get back home?
Well, I remember it was towards morning. I saw an office of like how you say UEDL for electricity. I saw someone, a white, going to open it. I ran with all my life as if it all depended on it. I bumped into the office and I told him I needed help. I told him if it means locking me here till morning. He said, I'm locking, I'm going, I'm locking, I've just forgotten something, I'm going. So he told me, what do you need? I said, I need to get home. Do you have the key? I said, I don't have the key. I don't have everything. Everything is taken. Do you have the money? I said, I told you everything was robbed and taken, and I've been butchered. I was also bleeding. And my clothes had blood. I saw it like the following day. I didn't know I was even bleeding. He said, but you have blood. What has happened? I said, it's a long story, but I need safety. I need to go back home. He said, I can't help you now. I said, please, I know you can help me. I'm a stranger, I'm this, I'm a Ugandan, I'd come for holiday. I started restraining myself. But my passport is gone, my money is gone, everything is gone. He said, so how do you want me to help? Lock me inside. Whoever comes in the morning, I'll get there. The guy said, well, I have somewhere. Can you trust me? I said, I can't trust anybody. I have a hotel just behind how you can say the biggest supermarket, maybe behind ShopRite. You can stay there till morning because it's inhuman to lock you in here. They can charge me for it. I said, no. I said, let me take you there. This is my business card. I said, it doesn't make sense. He said, don't you need safety? I said, I needed safety. That's how I survived. The gentleman, I said the worst has already happened. Let me trust this gentleman. So he took me to the reception of that hotel. He said, keep this lady, give her some water to shower, everything. I'll pay for it. So I wish I knew that gentleman's name, but I don't know. He gave me the card. I was out of my mind. I don't know where the card is, where I put the card and all that. It wasn't necessary. What I was thinking about was safety. And I sat there. I didn't go to the room. I sat there because I was feeling unsafe. I thought maybe this gentleman would come and hurt me or anyone. So I sat at the reception till morning. Then I realized it was like 7 or 8. I walked home. But on the street, I was looking around for danger everywhere. I thought where I was going was danger, where I was coming from was danger. So my antennas were so alert, I could not trust anyone. That's how it was.
How do you live through all this? And how do you return to Uganda?
I had a flat I was staying in. During that period, because it took long as I was in Cape Town for some time. I had to go to the Home Affairs and get some. I went to the police first. I reported the loss of my documents. They gave me an affidavit plus that letter that shows that your passport is lost. I photocopied the passport, so I used that for some time. But how I got back, it was my family that helped me. My family was stressing me. Phones were not there. That time it was Facebook. I was not on Facebook because every day I would talk to my family, would update them on what was. I didn't tell them about the scandals. I would tell them about the good things. So I think keeping things to myself got a toll on me. I didn't want to make my family worried, so I kept things to myself. In the first place, no one booked for me a holiday. No one knew, like, okay, I told them I was going to Cape Town for holiday, but the other business that I wanted to do, the plans I had to do, it was entirely on myself. So I didn't find a reason to bother my family. I didn't want to let them know what was happening, especially my parents. I had to go it alone. I went to a Ugandan, South African. I asked him for a job using my affidavit and the other lost documents. I explained to him everything. He gave me a job at some college to be an administrator, to be relations manager for that college, so that I could pay my bills and all that. So I survived like that for some time, trying to get my documents, trying to make ends meet, hiding it from my family, hiding it from I had like 2 friends who are helping me. So I got a small phone I could afford. So there were only 2 friends who knew what I was going through. I first worked in a Forex bureau. So this Forex bureau, there was a Ugandan who used to change money to rands and all that. So I went to him first and told him everything, and he gave me something to do. So that is the place where someone would send you money in Ugandan shillings and then he gives you rands. That's how I survived there. But then it got a toll on me. I started feeling really depressed. Winter depressed me. How to survive depressed me. Documents depressed me. I got scared that anytime they would get me. I was worried now. This is illegality and all that, because now my visa was almost getting expired. The people had given me money took off, and that was another bit that I don't want to share. So I had to go to Home Affairs in Pretoria to get a document to survive, to work, because it was going to be illegal to find you working with a visitor's visa. You either have a student visa or permanent resident visa or work permit. So that was a lot of stress. That increased the depression. So when I was there, I had a friend who was doing his PhD at University of Bloemfontein, Free State. So he said, "Hey, Jenny, are you still in Mozambique or you left?" So I was crying. I was in the flat. I was crying. I was almost thinking maybe I should tell my parents. I was there. I was confused. I burst out crying. I said, "Jenny, what is it? What happened?" I told him. He said, "No. do you have any document? Can you come over? It's coming to Christmas. What are the plans? Blah, blah. I told him I'm even scared of where I'm staying. This is it. This is it. So I couldn't trust anyone, not even the people I was sharing the flat with, not even people I was working for. So I had even trust issues. And then he paid for me accommodation for 1 week. The other gentleman, a doctor, Ugandan also, that I was working with at that college, helped me. I think he's the one who paid accommodation, then the other one paid a ticket. He told, no, you have 1 month for holiday, you come over. My friend left her room empty, so you can come and we talk about it. If it is depression, let's talk about it. We are family. That's how I managed to break through. When I reached Bloemfontein, it was nice. This gentleman is like a brother to me. We have studied at university. We've been friends for long, so we would talk about everything. He said, talk about everything. Now you're in a safe place. I would look through the windows to see if I'm safe. He says, no, this is not Cape Town. This is Bloemfontein. So you said, I know you're a tourism fanatic, you're a tourism person, you love travel. So he had a big bike. He would drive me to some mountain where animals, zebras and all that, and it would look over the Bloemfontein township. And on top there was a restaurant, and he would make sure I get the best, I will eat. And he tells me stories back at home of the orphanage we used to help and all that. So he would bring all those stories and you tell me, Jenny, you don't have depression. You're okay. Forget about depression. That was Cape Town. Now you're in Bloemfontein, you're safe here with your brothers. So we would laugh about it. We go for campfire and then see animals, and then there was a planetarium where you go and see the galaxies. So you would pay the tickets every weekend, and we go to see the galaxies and the stories behind each galaxy and all that. So it was a rejuvenating journey, trip in Bloemfontein. And somehow I survived for some time. But then it was time. I needed to get my papers well. So I had to go to Pretoria. So after getting the document from Pretoria, I had to go back to Cape Town. It got worse because I had lost the job. The survival became bad. I got sick. This whole part got kind of, I don't know if it was paralysis or something, but I could not sleep on it. I couldn't walk. I collapsed on the stairs to the place where I was staying, and they took me to find myself in the hospital. My whole body turned and became white. I couldn't recognize myself when they put me in an isolation room. That experience of the hospital was terrible. I had no family. The gentleman that ever came to see me was the first gentleman I worked for in a forex bureau. It's the one I had his number and reached out to. I was alone in that isolation room, and this time they were doing investigations. My heart failed in an emergency. I could hear doctors struggle and trying to argue, and all this, put something here and it fails. They put this, and the heart was failing. And I could say I was losing my life, but there were doctors, over 10 doctors. They managed to resuscitate or something, I don't know. So from there, they put me in an isolation room where no one touches you. You can't see someone, you can't talk to someone. And I think that was the bad experience that I saw with the health care there. As they were doing investigation, no one tells you what is happening. So I was like, do I have Ebola? I was dying in that room. I had machines on my nose, on my heart, on my belly, on my feet. So, and then I would ring the bell, they would just peep, look at me, the nurses look at me. There was a nursing unit in front of my room, and no one was there to help me. They would just look at me, go back, and started speaking in Kosa. One day, I said, whatever it takes, I'm going to get out of this room. So the doctors would come and see you through a glass window, right? Talk to themselves, not to you, right? And then go. So it took like a week. I was in there, isolated. I was not eating. I had no one. I had, wow, it was an experience and a very terrible one. So one day I saw a white doctor, the UK doctor called, I think, Alan. I pulled off my machines. He was taking notes as usual. Pulled off my machines, went with the machines off the bed, went to the window, pa, 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 hit it. And that was the breakthrough. That was the beginning of the breakthrough. Probably I would have died from that room. So he came and opened the door, and I told him, am I a criminal? Did I apply to be sick? What is happening? This is over a week. I told him everything. I need to get out of here. I need to know what you're doing. I need to know the investigations. Everyone is taking blood from me. It's over a week. And the gentleman was like, you speak good English. Where do you come from? Tell me. He got a chair, sat there, and tell me, what was the experience? So I told him, and he said, you're right. You need to get the feedback from the doctors. I said, well, I thought we had the worst back in East Africa, but you guys are the worst. Which kind of healthcare is this? So the guy laughed and he said, yes, you're right. You deserve to get the feedback. So we are sorry. And that was the beginning. So the next day he said, no, I'm going to follow up with your blood samples and all that. And the following day, I think after 3 days, he gave an order to get me out of that room and get in the general ward. So that's how recovery started. Otherwise, when I got out and saw myself in the mirror, I was white, I shouted, I cried, I couldn't recognize myself. So I started talking to the patient next to me and started to share experiences. She was a white and we talked. I used to encourage her, I used to take care of her, I would go and share, take care of other patients, and later I recovered from the hospital and went back to struggling. But then the struggles became bad and I needed to get out and I needed to come back because I'd lost the job at the college. I needed to pay my bills. I saw that now studying was not part of it because I had lost the money. I decided I needed to go home, but then the conditions were bad. They were terrible. I was staying in a backpackers, like a guest house, but was so basic. I think the money that I got from my friends was paying that, and I got more depressed. It was a very unsafe place. Every person who you'd tell that you're staying there would say, no, that's a terrible place. Getting out of that place to go and buy something from the supermarket was terrifying. Some days I would stay in there. I would fear to go to the bathroom until everyone is sleeping. Then you would hear someone knock on your door, like So it got a toll on me. There came another winter. This was another year. Yeah, I stayed there for a long time. I stayed there for over a year. I struggled with work. I struggled with survival. Meanwhile, the depression got worse. I got this terrible fear. I guess I later learned about it, that it was kind of anxiety. I would fear anything, anyone. I couldn't trust anyone, so I had a lot of fear. I would be shaking all the time. So I think word reached, I had a cousin who was there. Word reached my family, and my sister tried to reach on me. I'd go to the cafe, and then I would find like someone's from her, please share what is going on. I'm told this, ABC. I first withheld it. I didn't tell her exactly, but I told her. She told me, come home. Come home. You know, you can survive at home. You can do anything. Come home. Don't die there. Someone gave her wrong information. You know, when someone doesn't have access to you and then they feed someone close to you with wrong information to get exactly what's happening. It's my family that helped me get back. I told her, she asked me, how much money do you need to get back? She was crying, I was crying. She would write, I write back. This time I decided, let me break it. Let me say it. Let me share with my sister. If it means the last thing, because at one point, I was keeping in someone's flat, and I wanted to like get off and fall down. So I said, instead of, it reached a point, I cannot share all that I went through because some of it is so personal. But I reached a point where it was so bad that the last thing I wished, I knew I was going to die, but the last wish I had was to be buried in my father's compound. That's how bad it was. I just said, God, please, I had seen people who had died there, and at some point they took me there and they were soliciting money to take the corpse back and all that. I said, God, I want to die. I know I'm going to die, but please, can I be buried in my father's compound? At least let my parents see my body. So in that storm, my sister decides to send me money on my phone in Ugandan shillings. Getting the money was also a struggle. I stayed with that money on my phone. I didn't want to tell people around me that I had money, that I had gotten money. I had to get ways of escaping to go and get the money and go to the airport. I had a cab that I knew. The money from my family saved me. I can't tell you how I got to the airport. I can't tell you. I was shaking because I was looking behind, I was looking aside, I was looking everywhere. I thought I was going to die, maybe I was escaping danger, like how you're trying to escape danger and you're looking around. So one day I followed someone who was getting out of the flat. There was just one access card that someone would use to get out. So I followed the one who was getting out and jumped and went, and that's how I left. I left everything there in that place. I had an extra bag on me. I had a suitcase that I had left in that backpackers that I used to stay. I told the Uber guy, go pick this. I'm here. Can you drive me to any travel agent? Yeah, I managed to get on the flight. I was not in my mind that time. I was shaking, and this guy was like, they're going to think you're a fugitive. Why are you shaking? Are you a criminal? I said, no. So why are you shaking? What's happening? Of course, there was a lot of depression. I think it was a major depression that they later diagnosed me upon coming back to Uganda. So it was a night flight. I don't know how I got to the flight, but I got to the flight anyway. God was there. I can say God has been the first and the last. So God helped me to get to the flight. It was Run Air. Then my sister didn't know, my family didn't know that I had even decided to come back, because I went quiet after getting the money. They didn't know what was happening. Of course, there's a lot that happened that I have not shared. So I got to Johannesburg. Then I went to the Askari. I remember I asked him for Run Air. He took me there, and I stayed there for hours, I think like 3 hours. Then when I reached Kigali, I remember I sent a message to my sister and told her I'm arriving this time, and that's how I managed to land back to Uganda.
How did they receive you?
My family, there's nothing I can give like for my family, because my family received me like I was a king, like a queen. My sister, I think, sat there, she waited. I don't know the time I gave her, but she told me, she was the one telling me these things. You gave me a message that you're in Rwanda and you're arriving this time. I said, really? Is it me who wrote that message after I had recovered? So she told me she waited for me for maybe 3 to 4 hours at the airport. She received me with flowers. She was jubilating. And for me, it was the opposite. I had no feelings. I could not laugh. I could not smile. I could not feel my body. I was numb. So at some point I would think, what are these people jubilating about? What are they happy about? Like they had seen someone who had risen from the dead. They were happy, they hosted me, they took me home, they took me to the very best place to eat food. I could not eat, I could not sleep, I could not feel. So yeah, my family received me with a lot of joy.
What was your journey to seeking more help and recovery now that you're back home?
I stayed there with my family, and my family didn't know what to do, because they knew that Janepher, who was a go-getter, who was bubbly, who was entertaining, who was accommodative, who was caring, this time I was totally the opposite. I would sit there and they laugh, and I don't know how to laugh. I didn't know how to laugh anymore. I didn't know how to cry anymore. I didn't even have tears. That's how bad it was. I didn't have tears. I didn't have feelings. Even if you beat me or cut me, I could not feel anything. So later my family, of course, they tried praying, they tried this, they tried calling doctors, and so they took me to the hospital, to Mulago Hospital, where I met the first doctor I met in Uganda, which first doctor didn't give me time. They had already talked to her. This time they were talking on my behalf, because I couldn't share. I was numb. I couldn't share anything. Everyone would ask me, okay, let's call your mom. They called my mom. I couldn't open up. I'm like, in my mind, I would say, now this old woman, I would tell him something and she just breaks and dies. Now that would be on me. And then They called all my friends, the close friends, to talk to. I couldn't talk. The first time I saw bipolar was on my medical form. They had given me medicine because I had unipolar depression. They gave me some medicine that made it shoot to mania, to have bipolar N1 mania. It was like a misdiagnosis or something, I can call that. So when I learned it was bipolar, I became inquisitive because I had never heard about bipolar. It was my very first time. I first saw bipolar. I didn't read it well, but then I put it in Google. Then bipolar brought me mental health, ABC. So I started seeking help right from the hospital, online, got to search bipolar UK. I entered those chat rooms, anonymous, medicine, signs, symptoms, all that. I had to empower myself to help other people like me.
When you look back at your journey today, is your heart at peace?
Yes, my heart is at peace because my journey has not been just about me. My journey has been about other people like me. I found purpose out of the pain that I had, out of the confusion. I was searching for something that was not just for me, but was also for other people who were struggling like me. I decided on the second admission in the hospital, later in the years, I decided to open my room. It was not supposed to be an admission. I had gone for a routine checkup, review, and then the doctor told me, okay, you can come after 2 months. And then someone decided to get me admitted. So at first I got disappointed. Then I went and sat under volleyball court and I asked myself, I think there is a bigger purpose why I'm here. Because I left work, I'm okay. I brought myself and now I get admitted. I think there must be a purpose beyond this. Why I say my journey is, I feel at peace with my journey is, my journey has not been much of a victim. I have decided to look beyond pity parties and being a victim, and I've turned, what do I call it, the pain, the confusion into breakthroughs, into a purpose that I can live for other people. What has helped me and why I'm at peace is that I have helped lots of people and families with my journey and sharing my story and all that. I decided not to look at myself, but to look at other people who are struggling, other people who are being affected, other people who don't have a voice, other people that I found that are not even, they cannot talk about it, they feel it's a shame, they feel they need to be isolated, they feel their family don't see them as anything, they feel their life has ended. So I feel at peace because it started under mango tree. People would sit and start playing darts and those board games. And I decided to engage them, talking to each one of them. What are your names? What brings you here? What are you dealing with? You sound brilliant. What do you do? Just opening up with each and every one. They started sharing their stories, how they are dealing with this and that, how their families bring them to this and that, how they are lawyers and entrepreneurs and journalists and this. So I got to know that after all, I'm not alone. And I got to know that there are people who are going through worse things. I got to know that we needed a voice. I got to know that it doesn't help just playing a victim. We need to get out stronger. We need to have a purpose beyond that. I opened my room as a sanctuary. I was in a private wing. I opened up my room. I started a routine of exercise, having breakfast together, sharing the dreams that we had beyond the hospital. I interested them not to look at the disease, but look at the bigger purpose that they can do beyond. So I would make tea for them. I get bread. I always had bread, thank God. I made tea with my percolator. Thank God I had one. I sat them around, got chairs. We had benches there. I sat them down and then started sharing their stories. They felt more free sharing with me than sharing with a counselor, a family member, doctor, psychiatrist, because most doctors will come, they will not even look at you, they will just prescribe medicine and you go away. They don't have that time. But I had the time. And I was affected as they were affected. So I earned their trust. I would get their caretaker's number. I write them the profession, the caretaker's number, the next of kin, their numbers. Then I formed something like a group, support group after that. And that brought more peace. I knew I had to live a purpose beyond myself. I would share with them, we do exercise together, we do breakfast together, we play volleyball together, we play other games together. So it became more like family. So it made me feel at peace with this whole journey of living with bipolar. I knew it was not stopping at me. I had a purpose to live for other people. And that brought so much peace with me. I knew we were not alone. I knew anyone can be affected. I knew we were not as useless as people thought we were. There were doctors there, there were lawyers there, they were very brilliant that were struggling with bipolar and other mental health issues. So I can say that is one of the things that made me peaceful about this journey.
Thank you for your time.
Welcome.